If you're hoping to retire someday, whether that's in 3 months, 3 years, or 30 years, then this video is for you. I've been a fee-only financial advisor for over 20 years, and I've found that there's 3 common challenges people have both in the journey up to being able to retire, as well as doing the transition in retirement. And there's 3 books out of the thousands of books that I could recommend that I found have been really pivotal in helping people prepare for and succeed in actually transitioning to retirement. So let's go for a walk and I'll tell you what these 3 books are. Okay, the first book is written by a gentleman by the name of Morgan Housel. And the book's called The Psychology of Money. And this is a book, whether you're in your 20s or you're in your 60s, that's going to be really helpful to help you think about how you're saving for retirement, how you're investing, how you're thinking about money, right? The title of the book is perfect, The Psychology of Money. And Morgan talks about some really important topics, such as, how do you think about, are you succeeding in your investments? How do you think about what your goals are? What does it take to actually succeed in your investing journey? Is it about getting the best returns? Is it about risk management? And how do you do that balance? And I promise you, after reading that book, you're going to have a much better understanding of how to think about investing, how to think about your money, what's the goal for the money, how much money you should be saving, topics like that. Now, before I get into book number 2, I do want to share that, books are great. I mean, think about it. For $20 or $30, you can get so much knowledge. And, YouTube in some ways is even better because so much of what's on YouTube is free. But it's not tailored to your situation, right? My videos here are to put things on your radar screens, to give you some ideas, to give you some tools, to let you know some of the challenges other people have had, some of the paths that they've taken to be successful. But I don't know your specific situation. So these books are great, but as you're getting closer to retirement, as your net worth is increasing, I really suggest that you speak with a fee-only financial advisor to make sure you're on the right path. Okay, let's jump into book number 2 as snow is beginning to pile on my face. Okay, and this is the only video on preparing for retirement that's taking place in a beautiful snowstorm here in a ski town that I'm fortunate enough to live in. Okay, book number 2 is called Die with Zero, written by Bill Perkins. Now, full disclosure, this was a book I was hoping to write in my 60s, and I'm pretty close to 60, because it's one of the things that I've noticed is, we all work so hard to save our money, to prepare for retirement, and the reality is many of us are going to, unfortunately, die with a lot more money. Unfortunately, we're going to die. And a good thing, we're going to die with more money, but it's not all good, right? That gives you security. But think about it. Think of the time and effort it took to save that money. And if you and your spouse pass away without having been able to utilize that money, whether that's supporting your adult children, I'm not saying don't leave an inheritance, but your adult children can probably use this money more while you're still alive than, if you die in your mid to late 80s or your 90s, your adult children are about the age that I am now. When I was saving up money for my first home, that would have been really helpful for me to have, and I didn't, and that's fine. But for my kids and for many of our kids, we want to be able to support them during the journey, and we want to be able to use our money during the journey. And so many people work longer than they have to. They save more money than they have to, and they end up dying with millions of dollars. So as Bill Perkins, the title of Bill's book, Die with Zero, so elegantly puts it, the goal is to have squeezed all the juice out of that lemons, out of the fruits of our hard work, our good decisions, our sacrifices. We don't want to unnecessarily sacrifice. So Bill Perkins' Die with Zero talks about how to think about this. And hopefully I've explained the core concept well. But Bill does a really, really good job. It's got great ideas in there. People, the title initially, people read it and think, well, this is crazy. Who would want to die with zero? That's not enough, right? We want to have this security blanket. And as a fee-only financial advisor for over 2 decades, I have seen this and I wanted to write the book. Frankly, as I read Bill's book, it's like, I don't have to write this book anymore. Bill has written it, and frankly, he's done a better job than I could have done on that. So there's another book I'll work on. But Bill Perkins' book, Die with Zero. Okay, now I want to jump into the third book that I want to talk about. And one of the reasons I started this channel was to encourage people to retire as soon as they can, particularly if you're in your 50s and 60s. I want you to make a thoughtful and deliberate decision on if you retire and when you retire, because in your 50s and 60s, we have our health, we have our vigor, we have our vitality, but unfortunately, we're not going to have that forever. If we're 60 years old, most of us are looking at less than 1,000 weeks remaining of healthy, active time. And so many of us could retire in our 50s and 60s, but we don't. And we're not fully thinking about what are we giving up by continuing to work. If we have enough money, why aren't we transitioning? And often we're not transitioning into retirement because transitions are hard. It's almost like, you're at one end of a cliff. Let's say it's the Grand Canyon. You're at the north rim of the Grand Canyon, and people are hiking and summiting to the north rim, and they came from the south rim, and they're like, hey, it's really great over there, but maybe it's foggy and we can't see on the other end. And it's that transition into the unknown. Kind of like going down the rim of the North Canyon and then hiking back up the south rim. Once you've done that transition, the transition's a lot of work, but once you get to that south rim, once you're in this new place, once you're retired, you're thinking, wow, this is good. I wish I had done this sooner. And I don't want that to happen to you. And that's why the third book is, the book's name is From Strength to Strength by Arthur Brooks. And Arthur Brooks is currently a professor at Harvard, and he just recently wrote a book with Oprah Winfrey as well. But to me, the seminal book is really this, From Strength to Strength, and it talks about how do we make this transition as we progress through life? How do we transition successfully into the next chapter? And another thing I want you to think about on the topic of retirement is 5 reasons why I think you should think about retiring as soon as you can. I made this video here. It has close to 1 million views. I know you're going to enjoy it. It's kind of part 2 to today's video. 5 reasons to retire as soon as you can. I'll see you in there. Bye-bye.